The fat, the thin and the top, the most destructive shots in golf. Ged, please help us fix these.
They all live in the same house. They all come from the same issue, and that issue is not being able to control where the lowest point of the golf swing is. So sometimes you might hear the term low point. It's the bottom of the arc of the swing, and if that is either in a real variable place or it's just way too far back from the golf ball, you're always going to struggle. And then from there, that's where we start to sort of cast, release, scoop. All those sort of knock-on effects all come from golfers who struggle to control where the low point is. So the low point, where should it be? Well, I mean, I've got a 6-iron in my hands here, but even if I had a driver in my hands, there is still a bottom to the circle, and it would be over here. It would be forward. As a reference point, you could think about it as being not a million miles away from being in line with your front heel. Yeah, because when we're making our downswing, we are moving the pressure of the body towards our target, so that is shifting where the bottom of the circle is going to be. So that's going to move it over here. So if we think about those golfers who hit fats and thins, a lot of them keep the pressure on their trail side, so we can career into the ground back here, or we keep the club moving away from the ground to avoid that, and that's where the thins and the tops come into it. So the bottom of the circle of the golf swing is back here where the club wants to meet the ground. We want to shift it and move it more towards the target, so it's more on this side over here. And as you can see, as I keep doing that and brushing and hitting that part of the ground, it is on the target side of the golf club. So a little drill that you can do to practice it is, if you're on a grass range like we are here, just get 2 T-pegs to create a gate and put the golf ball right in the middle. Your task is to hit the golf ball and the ground on the left hand side of the gate. If you're on a normal driving range where you're on a mat, get some chalk, just chalk a line and then put the golf ball behind it, so that if you move the golf ball, nice strike, brush the chalk away, then you'll have the chalk dust on the bottom of the golf club. So you're getting constant feedback on whether or not you are or are not controlling where the low point of your swing is.
Ged, if you mind, let's have a look at the at this drill in action.
So taking your normal setup, and then we just want to focus, and you can, rather than looking at the golf ball, keep your focus on the ground that's over here. So all you've got to make sure you do is, when you get to the top of the backswing, is you are moving the pressure of the body towards the target. Some people will start to do that and then they'll sort of back themselves up. Some people will just be way over on this side. Just try and keep that focus on moving towards your target and strike your shot. And as you can see there, the divot starts right where the gate of tees are, and that's where the low point at the bottom of my circle is.
So there we go, an easy fix for your top, your thin and your fat. No excuses now to go out and hit that perfect golf shot. And finally, we're going to be looking at probably the most expensive destructive golf shot, and that is the sky, skying your driver. Now, can you tell us why this happens and how we can go about fixing that?
It's painful to watch. It's one of those where you cringe when you see it happen. You know the dread that the golfer's going to have to look down on forever until he can afford to buy a new one. It's a sort of two-pronged attack of what's happening. When we get the club traveling down too much, and it can travel down too much from both in to out as well as out to in. A lot of people think it's just going to travel down steeply and then come down and across, and we get this sort of contact here. But there are golfers who travel too much from the inside, but they've got too much forward handle. So the club head is still traveling down at the point of contact, and the face is now this way, so it's exposing the top of the golf club. But yes, down being the big key. If we're hitting down on it, then the club has not reached the bottom of its circle before it's made contact. And with the driver, ideally for most of you, you need to be hitting up.
And hitting up on the ball, is there any drills or anything we can do or you can take home to your driving range to help fix?
There is. I've got a head cover here. You could use, you know, an empty box of balls. You buy your box of balls, take the sleeves out, use the empty box that it comes in. And really all you want to do, depending on how much down and how quickly it pops up into the air, you could probably look, I mean, if I was to put my foot here, I would say, well, if you were to put your head cover, your driver, about there, so it's probably about then 18 inches in front of the golf ball, then you just want both golf ball and club head to avoid hitting the head cover. Anyone who's hitting down, the ball will go up, but the head of the driver will just career into whatever you've got there. So if it's the empty box, it'll just obliterate the box. If it's the head cover, it'll just move the head cover out of the way. It won't damage the club, but you'll get your feedback on whereabouts your contact is. So what we want to be thinking of is when we're making our swing here, we want the club head to feel like it passes the hands a little bit more and it travels a little bit more on the up as we go through the shot. So the whole focus is not so much on trying to hit your fairway, stop your slice. It's about making sure that you avoid the object that you've put in front of the golf ball.
So nice visual representation.
Yeah. So
let's have a look.
Hopefully it should look like this. So
great drive.
Ball's been hit on the up, and as you can see, head cover is still in place, missed by both ball and club face.
Perfect. A nice, easy drill for you to take back to your driving range.